Happy Friday morning, Flosstube. Today's November 10th, Friday. Only a week since my last upload, but 2 weeks since I made the last video. So, lots of progress and lots of progress. So, anyway, I'm going to maybe make videos more often, and then I won't have them be long, and I can upload them quick because that's not fun. Anyway, it's a cold, very, very bright day here in Western New York, so I feel like it's bright behind the camera. So anyway, I need to show you a little finish. I showed this, let's see, where are we getting the brightest? I showed this as a done piece of stitching last time, but I finished it, FFO'd it. I had, years ago, I did a quilt workshop thing that went on for months, and each month we made a different series of blocks, and I used this colorway of fabric, sort of a purple and fall, purple and green and stuff. So the whole time I was stitching this, I kept thinking, oh, I hope one of those quilt blocks, which have never been made into anything, will work for this. And it did. I needed to trim down a little bit, but I managed to cut at the right spot along these pieces, these little tiny squares, so that it came out kind of cute. So it's in my little basket of goodness. I need to fuss a little more with pressing it. I didn't want to drag it out. I thought it was done. It was good. It's going in the bowl. And then also, which way should we go? Oh, this. I didn't have this up here the other day. It was Mill Hill's Frosty beaded ornament. Let's see, it's kind of freaking out on the brightness. I didn't do anything fancy except put some fleece on the back. When it hangs on the tree, it looks fine to me, so I'm good. And as for progress, I had shown last time I had started a bump in the night by Tempting Tangles, which is not a designer I've ever stitched before, but I just wanted something whimsical and Halloween, and I had this piece of green yellow fabric from the Crafty Kitten. So I had started this on Halloween, and all I had was a bump and then the roof of this little house. So there's where I'm at now. Kind of been slow. I haven't been stitching in that location, which I've explained before. I have different projects in the different locations where I stitch. I haven't been doing a lot in that location, so not a lot of progress there. But I did make a lot of progress. I gave a week to Lantern Lane, Stitch Along with Chelsea and Priscilla. And I got off to sort of a slow start, just working a day here and a day there. And then I decided I was going to give it a week, a solid week. So when I started, I had the house done, but I was still filling in some of the windows. So that's all I had done when I started it a week ago, Monday. So I worked from Monday through Sunday, and this is what I got done. Oh, I showed it on Instagram where I talked about this. I don't want to have to keep doing this, but I'm going to because this seems to be my thing. And when I showed it on Instagram, I got a lot of responses about the same issue. So there's actually two things. I wasn't going to point out the one in case somebody's further along and already had done this or didn't change it or didn't see what I saw. So here's the piece. So the first thing, if you don't follow me on Instagram or didn't check the Sal Instagram page, the year this was designed was 2014, and that's the date that's in there, and it is now 2017. So what do you think the odds are there's some additional numbers in this pattern? 0. Nada. I granted this isn't 7 is not a hard number to do, and the font is not a hard font to follow, and somebody very sweetly on Instagram directed me to theirs where they had changed it to 7. So I had not graphed it yet, but she had done what I had in mind to do. So anyway, hello, designers. We don't all stitch it in the very year and or want to put that year on there. Maybe we'd like to put our house number if maybe Lantern Lane reminded us of our own home. We need some more numbers, honestly. And then here's the other thing. Look at the alphabet. It caught my eye. Now, I understand I could have done different. I'm just going to say this. I liked the way there were a couple red letters in there. So as I started, I did A, B, and C. And I thought to myself, oh, I better look hard at that pattern and make sure I know where the color change happens. The pattern doesn't show a color change. So that made me start thinking. Well, then, of course, I realized what the D and the W stood for, right? Everybody knows the designer's name. And I can appreciate that, and that's kind of fun. Thing that doesn't make me happy, my initials don't play out nicely in there to highlight them like that. First of all, Pam, the P falls after the initial for my last name. So there's that. Now, I understand. I could have done every fourth letter in red or something just to bring in that color, but it's not what I did. I just did them in the same color called for and moved on, but was sort of a little tiny bit dismayed that one thing attracted me and I'm not artistically inclined enough to compensate once I discover that really didn't translate to my sampler in the same way. So, whatever. I'd like some more numbers though. So Lantern Lane is going to come back out probably early next week, and maybe I can finish it. I don't want to assume anything because not all weeks are created equal. And the next thing that I started working on when Lantern Lane got put away, I need to get these threads out to show you, was Ebenezer, right? Ebenezer's Christmas. This has been a fun stitch along with a few people. Buckeye Stitcher, Marlene Stitching by the Lake, and Kathleen's Trodden Trail are the people I know working on it. So I got it out. I'm sorry, there's threads hanging off of it. Oh, that's not even the thread I wanted to talk about. So I know my fabric. Nicole's from Buckeye Stitcher says, is your fabric big enough? I said, well, no, not really. I'm going to Priscilla and Chelsea this baby up. So I wasn't worried about framing. And the piece of fabric already existed in exactly this size and shape. So I didn't have to cut anything or whatever. So here it is. I'm still missing his hands. I haven't looked for any flesh color I wanted to use. And also I may be tea dyeing this once it's stitched. Not sure I want to tea dye his couple stitches of flesh. So I'm not sure. I actually am very happy with just the simplicity of the color. It reminds me of a Prairie Schooler's sort of simplistic coloring. So there's that. I picked a couple random colors that I like to use, my red and my green. My green is Weeks Seaweed, and my red is, I'm looking right now, red is Brick, also a Weeks. And I'm using coal for when black appears. So it's very enjoyable just being those few colors. And then I didn't show this. I saw somebody else comment about this particular row and they weren't sure what to do with it. I stitched it as charted. I stitched it in one strand of ecru. I tried it with 2 and it just didn't work. Whatever the name of that stitch is, it's too bulky in, let me see if I get close. Let's see what we see. With one ecru, I like the division. I like how it just divides it with a little fancy subtle line there. You could leave it out clearly. I think that was some of the debate. It's done on the pattern in a light color, so it doesn't really show up as being a red or a green or whatever. So anyway, so I am working this with, like I said, weeks seaweed, and I am going to run out. So I have placed a couple orders in the last week with varying cross stitch stores. None of them did I order seaweed because I didn't really realize I was going to run out. So now I need one skein of floss. So getting to my LNS is not always easy. It's time. It's about time. So anyway, my husband, who's out on the road occasionally for work and drives here and there, and his office is much, much closer to the store than I am, I said, do you think you'll be in that area tomorrow? This is me saying it to him last night. He said, probably I could be. Why? And I said, I needed to call the store and see if they had a thread color that I needed, just one thread, and then he could run in and get it, pick it up for me. So that's fine. So last night in my not sleepiness, I thought, oh my God, he's going to see what a skein of weeks cost. I really don't know that I want that. I really don't know. Think about it. Think about it when you think I have, my weeks is stored. I use the bags, the floss away bags. Mine are stored alphabetical in 6 drawers of a library card catalog. That's a lot. It's a lot. I have a lot. I'm not sure we need to visit that. Not that he has ever once said anything about how much anything costs that I do. Right? Let's just not go there. So while I'm not sleeping, I thought, let me find the DMC equivalent, because seaweed, I'm picking at the end of the floss I've been playing with. Seaweed doesn't really have any variegation in it. It really doesn't. So here's a piece of seaweed. I know you guys aren't going to see this. It's in quite the way that I will under my magnifier. And here is DMC 520. And in all honesty, I can see a difference. It's not nearly as dramatic as it appears in this camera and in this light. It is very close. I think to do you say an untrained eye, this wouldn't stand out. If I end up doing this is why I may tea dye this, is because it'll maybe blend all the colors. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. Let me show you just a couple quick things. I joined Color and Cotton's Fabric of the Month. I got on the waiting list, and back probably 2 months ago, I got an email that said there were spaces available. So I joined the neutral, right? Isn't that what it is? Neutral. And this is what the fabric was this month, a gray. This is October's, which I'm very happy with because I really like gray. I like stitching on gray. The fabric feels nice. I'm getting 36 or 40 count. And this, pretty sure that's what I signed up for. So I'm not really sure how that worked out. Its name is Old Stone. So I'm not dissatisfied with 28 count, but I'm pretty sure, because then I signed up for the Fabric of the Month from Needlecraft Corner that they're doing starting in January with Picture This Plus, and you had to commit to your size. And I thought, well, I'm already getting a high count, right, 36 or 40 from Color and Cotton, so let me go 32 from Picture This Plus. Whatever. I like gray. And then I went to a thrift store. I always stop at a thrift. There's a thrift store I like up by our mall, so if I'm up in that area, I stop. And for the first time, and all the times I've stopped, I found some cross-stitch patterns. And I only bought one of them, this one. The other two just didn't interest me, and they can be there for somebody else who could get a bargain. I did pick this up. I'm an avid reader, and I'm embarrassed to say, Wilder. I like that author. Let's say that. So anyway, we'll see if I ever stitch it. Or maybe a component out of it. That's possible. So that's it. That's all my piles. That's all the things. Mostly I've been stitching. So, and I will keep stitching. So have a good one. Have a good Friday. Bye-bye.